when I asked that question at the Tea Party meeting, you might have thought, I don't know, what could I compare it to? Generally, people were aghast that I had even introduced the idea of taking up arms against the government. And not that I didn't expect it, but it was still disappointing that people who are so active politically and activistic politically had no further vision of what we need to do beyond just who we vote for or something, and it's just very short-sighted, and I was very disappointed that people were not even willing to discuss it, you know. And again, we're aghast that it had even been, the subject had even been broached. So for us here, well, is it a consideration or not? And yeah, I'll be the first one to say now, if we're going to talk about anything serious, yeah, we're not going to be attacking the U.S. government, which would include the U.S. military forces. That would be folly for sure. I mean, just I don't know, an impetuous attack on the most efficient military fighting machine in the world. And they have a lot of weapons that we don't have. So when and if I suggest taking up arms, I won't go into details on that, but just accept that it's it would be very specific and very detailed in what would be feasible to do. But at the basic idea being that if the status quo, the powers that be, etc., if they don't, or if they refuse to give up their power, if they refuse to give up that status quo, then we are left with, as I see it, two basic alternatives. We would say, oh, well, okay, if you're not going to restore constitutionalism, okay, well, I guess we'll just become a socialist or communist nation or Marxist, whatever. Throw in all of the ism siblings, I call it. Anyway, if they're not going to voluntarily change their ways, then we either acquiesce or we consider that we're going to have to do something a little more. And if we're going to do that, we're not going to do that by being in individuals or single families or even multiple family communities hiding out in the hills. it could be possible to do some things whilst hiding out in the hills. But one of the problems we have to keep in mind is that if things are that bad and we have to head for the hills, we're going out there to hide out because, they very well may be looking for us. Well, the problems with it are varied and multiple. But one being that if we have to go out there, then we're probably then going to have a real logistics problem with transportation. If there are checkpoints, and this is all part of why we have headed for the hills, if there are checkpoints and searches for dissidents and whatever, then we're not going to be running the highways just totally free. There may be changes in the way people are allowed to even buy gasoline and food along the highway, or even monitoring. That would be one of the easier things. They can just order every gas station or whatever to have video cameras and to monitor and keep track of who's buying what. And if we're far enough out there in the hills for it to be effective, then we're going to spend a lot of gas to go, and we're going to use a lot of gas and whatever to go anywhere. And of course, then the next issue would be, where are we going to go, and what are we going to do when we get there? It's all of this that I'm referring to right now is part of what militarily would be included under logistics. You have to have food and transportation. You have to have a plan, and we wouldn't probably be in very large groups. So who are you going to encounter along the way? The whole issue is just fraught with difficulties and fraught with variables. And I just think that all of these things are things that we should be thinking about, and thinking a little deeper about what we're going to do, whether we really want to restore the country, take our country back, if that's what we really want to do, or if we're really just mindful of our own survival, which is fine for those that, if that really is your end game, then I have no quarrel with that. There are a lot of things. All of us are for sure not cut out for all of the things, all of the actions and whatever that could be involved. And that's just it's just accepted. But if that is what we're doing, then our plan is that we're just going to head for the hills. We're going to bug out and head for the hills. until we die of old age. And I guess if that is our end game and we're taking our children with us, then I guess we're subjecting them to just staying out in the hills too until they die of old age. And it would be very difficult for generations to continue. I don't want to be too indelicate, with things, but if if there's just 2 or 3 families at best, at most, a handful of families going to the same general location, well, how do we suppose that we're going to do anything other than just die out? I guess that would have been like a war of attrition by us against the evil forces of oppression, in which case ultimately the evil forces of oppression win, because we're just going to go out there and live our lives and struggle to have food and whatever, and teach our children well until all of us die of old age. And again, if I'm being a little cynical, I think it's warranted. I mean, I think a little cynicism and sarcasm is called for to make us think a little deeper on these matters. And so I think I'm going to stop the camera here and get these 2 videos uploaded to YouTube, and then post them on the websites that I frequent.